Kapital Mag presents.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Shealyn Monet. We are back at the Kapital Magazine headquarters for episode 4 of our On the Come Up podcast. Today we have a wonderful guest, Prowess The Testament. I can't wait for you to see this performance and interview. Stay tuned.
See, when I think of the brand for the culture, I think of the epitome of a hustler, a grinder, someone that gotta wear multiple hats when they boss up, you know. You gotta work when nobody else is around, when nobody else is there. You gotta be on it. You gotta be your own secretary. You gotta be your own delivery person. You gotta be your own engineer, your own photographer. And that's what I think of. And see, you see me, like, I grind. That's why they call me Mr. Make It Happen, you feel me? Like, I'm always hustling. I leave no stone unturned. And so that's why I went out and got this shirt right here, this For the Culture shirt from Colossal Capital brand, man. Y'all gotta check them out. Check out their website. Make sure you get it, because I'm telling you, like, if you think you're a hustler, a grinder, if you in the culture doing, if you're an artist, entrepreneur, small business owner, check out their line, man. They got that stuff for you.
And without further ado, Prowess The Testament.
When I was born, I was out of place, cause I was used to holding stars up in outer space. Now I drop tapes with a designer face, holding suns and deserts. I was trying to chase an eagle out of Phoenix, a fire to the rain, to race the dates of my escape. They run in place like this is not a race. Lock the hair or two, I'm thinking what would the Sarahs do? God bless my ancestors in the prayer room. I'm saying what would Sarah do if a sheriff got shot by an heiress who was Santa saluted this biblical heirloom. My grandmama liked to match to burn a pharaoh shoe. I got Helios in a parachute under Herod's rule, but I still inspire inherit tunes. They want us to inherit tunes, but we got heirs to runes, fluent in nuances, plotting stars influences, sit the congruent ruins of foolishness, avoid the rudiments, it's inclusive, you lack the tutelage, but wounds deep in the numerous students collected up in my uterus, fruitful, the Supreme Court spared the hubris, and now my sons is humorous, so they bathe up in the luminous, clouds is cumulus, a school the bridge expands the tutorship, my students who the rep the view was lit, Check the bit rate, learn how to conjure power in the 6th grade. You should catch the whip wave. I could turn a pen into a switchblade. I am extraterrestrial, the vestibule, a special revenue. Collect my revenues, premeditate by gating better shoes. I'm out ahead of you. Build a rubric and Mount Vesuvius, quite dubious. The way I do it is all exclusiveness, all fortuitous. What ain't pursuing this? It's many call, but few is choosing this. Proven system, another wound and spoon and peep the euphemism. Give me pounds, earn plenty crowns, yeah. That's feudalism, salt and juices till it reproduces. Now this chest burst, the first birth, the child from other earthers. Creatures hit the surface, going deep in the inertia. Maternal worship was left to circle jerk and verses just repurposed. Surface a type of mind blind circus. I need proper lines to optimize my searching. Dig beyond the urchins. The sea becomes my curtain. Made a beeline for the divine is certain. The absurdity, I take it personally. Baby, that's hyperbole. I'm a glutton for perjury and punishment. But you should tell me if you look who's really running the show. I'm a glutton for punishment. Tell me who is really running it, yeah. Check the big ray, learn how to conjure power in the 6th grade. You should catch a replay. Throwing big shade.
And now with music.
Another long day. Time to get home to the crib. Make something to eat, relax, check out the game or something. Sending files, reading emails. Time to relax. First, I need to find something to rock to on the way home, man. Let's see what we got here. Spotify, no Pandora. Let's see what else is out here, man. What's this? Next Up Radio. Okay, let me check this out. Listen. Okay. Oh, okay. Word. Oh, this is hot. Yeah. Next Up Radio.
So we just heard an incredible performance from Prowess The Testament, which I loved, by the way. I must say, I was given like Miss Lauryn Hill. It was given like the song with the rap, you know. So I genuinely loved that. I just want to start off by getting into how you got your name. Like it's very powerful. It stands out. So how did you come up with that?
Yes, so that I was a different name for a long time. I was this name Naea, which was nocturnal addict and eternal something, ascension or something like that. Anyway, It was always difficult for people to say it. And so just kind of I was in the process, I think, of changing it, but it's just been my name since I was a little kid. And then I did a performance for KRS-One was doing a Hip Hop Appreciation Week here in DC. And shout out to all the people that put that together, Enoch Seventh Prophet, and who is a friend of Kapital Magazine, and DJ Sawyer, who's a friend of Kapital Magazine, but all of the folks that put that event together. And I got a chance to perform, to get on this hip hop appreciation tour he was doing. And when I went to do the performance, my shoe came off in the middle of the performance, and I had to keep rapping. First of all, everybody was there to see KRS-One. We were just like thrown out on stage, and it was like, okay, rap. You get 8 bars or something, and my shoe came off. So I started rapping, freestyling about my shoe coming off, and it was funny. And when I got off the stage, KRS-One was standing there, and he said, that's Prowess. And so I took that name, and I was like, I took that to mean like, that's my name. He's ordaining me with that name. And it was an awesome experience. It was KRS-One that was there. Big Daddy Kane was there. Speech from Arrested Development. It was like, you couldn't have been in a more, space where, a more talented space to me. And so the Testament, people always call me preach or church in school. They call me like, all these little names because they would say I would lecture people, and I would start telling them, this story, and this story. So they would call me that in high school, and so I just I couldn't be Prowess, like I was going to be Prowess the Tabernacle, but it didn't go. And I was like, what can I say instead? And the Testament just kind of stood for, that same kind of a word. So that's how I became Prowess the Testament.
I really think it flows. I like it. It goes really nice.
Yeah, I think it works. I'm glad you like it, though. Yeah. Thank you.
So you said that was at Hip Hop Appreciation Week, so a little bit further in the career. So where are you from, and what was your start like? So let's take it back a little bit.
Okay, yes. I was born and raised here in D.C. I'm from PG County. My parents are both from D.C. My grandparents is both from D.C. So it was like I'm a multi-generational Washingtonian, which I feel is like so abnormal these days, such a novelty. Shouldn't be, but we're becoming less and less in the surrounding area. So. But then I started out kind of freestyling with my cousin. So we would go to the swimming pool. My cousin, we didn't have a swimming pool in our neighborhood. They lived in Carver Terrace, and I would go to my grandmother's house. And we would go down to either Rosedale swimming pool, or we have to go to Fort Lincoln swimming pool. And so they would go, and then I wouldn't get to go. And so he would go with his friends, and he would be like, you're going to have to battle if you go. So that was what they were doing. I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, put me in. I know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I didn't know what I was doing.
But you could still go up. Like, I know.
I was like, but I can try. Let me try. So I kind of started rapping and playing around. I think I would just freestyle. I had never really wrote anything down. And then my cousin told me, we were young. We were like 10 or something. And he gave me The Chronic by Dr. Dre. And he was like, write every word down, not in the notebook, and then learn every word. And then that way, at least like it'll be easier to learn. And I never took that for granted. I was like, I'm actually going to do it. I did it. Just so I could learn it, because I really wanted to impress him. My thing was like, I'm about to know all the lyrics. I'm not going to know nothing. And y'all going to be like, how she know? But then what I did is I said, let me actually fill in some of my lyrics in place of those. So like Lady of Rage's verse, I would be like, let me write my own. And that's how I would learn, was learn the song and I would learn it against my song. So same with like, which is funny, Bone Thugs and Harmony, like I created my own verse in that verse or pop or whatever. And so that was kind of how I started out. And it was my cousin and his friends really pushing me to kind of be like, keep going and keep going and keep going. And they were making music, so I figured why not? I'm just as capable, and I seemed to make friends that were also making music, whether that was producers or DJs, and I was starting to go to open mics, and that was really my journey.
Okay, wow, that's awesome. So then it kind of just jumped off from the open mics into more of a deeper scene, because I know, like, in reading about you, understanding about you, you shared the stage with some big names. I mean, one of the biggest that stood out to me was Wu-Tang Clan, but you have definitely shared the stage with some big names. So how do you jump off from, you're writing rhymes to battle at the pool to now you're on stage with these types of people? Like, how does that happen?
I think I got courage from the open mic. So fortunately, I like to say DC's open mic scene is one of the most brilliant kind of organic things, because I grew up in an open mic called True School, but there was, props that I've seen other artists here who've talked about. Freestyle Union, which was kind of an open mic and had different challenges. True School was at Capital City Records on U Street, and we would have challenges. We'd have these note cards, flash cards, and you have to freestyle using the flashcards. We'd have to simulated battles. We had beat battles that you could, if you really wanted to channel that energy and be a producer. We had, you had to perform songs. You had to maybe come do a verse 16 right on the spot. And so coming up there, and it was every Friday, and just the fact that it would cultivate, I think, all of our gifts, but it allowed me to really see what else was talent out here in the marketplace and see what they were doing. And then what I realized is that, if they're doing it, like, I'm going to learn something from them, and I can also get a chance to get feedback from people I respect, people who I know are also going to be honest. And that was something for me that was very key, was surrounding myself with people who were not yes men. So, like, people that weren't afraid to tell me when something was whack. People weren't afraid
that means they love you.
Yes,
they want you to succeed and do better.
Yes, and that for me, I think, kind of pushed me to be like, I'm not going to come back, and I'm going to make sure that I do something that people can respect, that I respect. When you get those props from people who you've looked up to your whole life, and you've been able to see. And that for me, there was this one MC, her name is the Lioness. I was at an event in Richmond, I'll never forget, and seeing her perform for the first time from Tribe of Judah, she was just like, she was electrifying. And I'd seen plenty of women MCs, Queen Latifah, and Lauryn Hill, and a lot of women that I respected, but never maybe in person. That was the first time that I had ever seen somebody be that electrifying out of her whole crew. I was just like tunnel vision on her and watching her perform. And I think that was something that pushed me to be like, keep going until you can, you can be a part of that. You can capture that same essence that she's captured with you. Focus on who that will be for you, and how you might do that, and what are you putting in your words that will influence somebody to want to even listen.
Most definitely.
And so that's kind of for me. I started being able. I got on projects first, I think, with people, and then you go like, okay, let me keep going and getting on projects, and then asking, can I open for this artist or can I open for that artist? And so a lot of people I've just been really blessed, I think, and that's such a word I never hear when people say. It's like, it wasn't luck, it was blessings, certainly, and good timing that allowed me to get on shows when Wu would come into audience, into town, or Pharoah Monch, or Smith and Wesson, or all these people that I looked up to. It was humbling for me to get on stage and be able to say, can I actually, present something, a package that people want to see, that are coming to listen to this artist.
That's awesome. And the way you're describing it too, talking about you're putting yourself out there. So you're also, it's a blessing in itself, but you're also taking the steps for how you could develop and to get there. So, I mean, that's incredible.
Yes.
So what would you say that your creative process is like?
Yeah, it can be anywhere. I feel like when the spirit of creativity hits me, it hits me. And then I also I call it like respect to quiet and silence. There are moments when I'm like, I'm not creating, but I am creating, because it's like, in the silence is when that creation is happening, because I have to give myself room for the art to breathe and room for the craft to kind of allow it to strengthen and, you know, get something different. So sometimes I take writing breaks, I take creation breaks where I'm like, I might even be writing, but I'm not releasing anything. I'm sitting on a stack of stuff I haven't released yet or haven't really let anybody hear yet, because I'm like, you know what, I just want to live with this for a moment and not put it out in the ethos. So I'm like, sometimes it's reading a book, sometimes it's watching a show, an anime, reading a manga, a comic book. I mean, everything. I feel like I'm a folklore kind of a fan, and I mean, when I say folklore, everything mythical or mythology based, even back to ancient times, ancient lore. And I like to kind of, you know, focus on that. So I think if people hear my rhymes, like I always, even if it's a track name, you'll notice I put a lot of of those words and terminology, kind of a dog whistle for people who are also mythology fans. And I feel like at the end of the day, like I'm a nerd, I like words and I like to make them fun. And so I'm like, when I hear a word, sometimes my challenge is like, what can I make that goes with that doesn't go with that, you know? Like, this is not superfluous, it's not something that I would typically rhyme with this, you know, but how do I make that word like fun, and how do I make it witty? And so that's what I try and strive to focus on, like, creatively, you know, how do I make something creative happen that has already, you know, no idea new under the sun, but how do I make it innovative as I possibly can?
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, what really stood out to me was you saying that sometimes you'll just sit and write, or you'll have words, but you won't put them out for consumption. And I feel like that in itself is powerful, because we're able to use those words for ourselves, and it still helps with growth in ways that I sometimes think maybe people don't really think about as much. Like, even just writing it and doing all that is so much more for us than the average person might think.
Yes, I totally agree. Like, a lot of the art, I feel like I consume myself and I have to feed myself first. It's that, like, concept of putting on the oxygen mask first, and like sometimes that means self-care of silence and, you know, quieting the outside world, you know what I mean? And when I'm writing, I used to say there was something, and I would say privately to myself, that I didn't write well from a place of like heartbreak and depression, or, you know, stress or whatever. That I needed to be in love. My songs were always better. I needed to be, you know, feel loved, feel happy, feel joy. And then I realized that's unfair to myself, because not every moment is like that. You know what I mean? And so I then challenged myself to some of my, you know, I feel like I have a song, Something Wicked. I wrote that like in a penthouse hotel in the middle of Puerto Rico. And it's this dark, menacing song, you know, and I was like, I just kind of was able to escape, and I didn't go to that world, but I was like, I can channel that world and bring it into something light, you know, something dark can be transformed in that space. So I'm like, yeah, sometimes it's just like, I'm consuming it, I'm feeding myself, and then maybe I'm able to put it through my filter and be like, maybe that's not the best one, maybe you need this particular bar, you need to restructure, or you know what, this sounds clumsy. And so I feel like I do need to sit with it a little.
And we need that too, because if everything was perfect, if we were always writing about being in love or being in a relationship, then it wouldn't be life.
Exactly.
Like, it wouldn't. So, you know, I think that's even more special in the long run.
Yes.
So I am so curious, because I saw this and I'm a huge fan of MF Doom. So how did you end up on an MF Doom album?
Yeah, so this was when I was about 16. My first song I recorded at that time was on a project called Alpha Beats, which was the precursor to a label called Shaman Work, which was owned by this guy called Christopher Kraft, who at that time was Mr. Richter, who was a student at Morehouse. So he was not much older than I was, but he was, you know, had this dream, and he wanted to put this project together. And he knew, you know, I love the fact that he knew he was going to like have a label someday, and that he was going to do this. But he had MF Doom, he brought myself, Finale, Invincible, so many different artists. Aloe Black from, at that time, was Emanon, before he was like the Aloe Black that we know. But he put that project together, and that album, that was like a mixtape, that was a precursor for the label. And so that was how I got on the project with MF Doom, because MF Doom was eventually then signed to that label. John Robinson from Signs of Life was also on that project. And so he was the A&R for that label. But yeah, it was great to be, you know, the fact that like, I think I met like Mr. Richter online, like we had to, you know, back then when you like use the internet for networking, and you met, you know, he was in Atlanta, I was in DC. I did not have a place to record music. So I went to, at that time, my friend's house. He lived in Woodbridge, Virginia, and I don't even know how I got to his house. Like, just being resourceful, because it's so crazy now when I think about that. But I'm like, I went down there. He had a 4-track Tascam, and he was like, I can record you. You know, we put the computer up, got the 4-track up, and started recording. And that song was horrible, but
oh my gosh, it's your audience, like
the song was horrible. I was doing this metaphor about the sun, and it was called, when the sample had this part in it, was when he smiles, everyone, when he smiles. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna write about the sun. And so I wrote about, you know, when the sun is smiling on nature and on us, our melanin and stuff. It was just like, no, it was just trying too hard. But I didn't care, because at the same time I got to be on that project, and that was for me. Now when I think about it now, I'm like, wow, I got a chance to be on that, and be a part of that experience of that label forming, and see all the behind the scenes of it. So yeah.
No, honestly, what do you need parts of your journey, for real?
Yeah.
Is that mixtape anywhere available that people could?
I'm sure it's online. Yeah, Alpha Beats mixtape. I'm sure it's still online. I tried to find it a few years ago, and I did find it. It's in a clever place, because they don't have that piff anymore. But if y'all know about the Reddit threads and all that kind of stuff, you can still find it. It is still, you know, the internet never lets anything go.
It never does.
No. So he had it on the internet, and I think like he cataloged shaman work recordings. I think he re-released that. Both, he had a part 1 for the mixtape and part 2, and I think he re-released part of those on shaman work. But, you know, shout out, Chris Craft went on to do, you know, he's like in a different field now. He's like, does marketing and search engine optimization, all that stuff. But that was his journey too. You know, it's like the fact that like in between you owned a record label, like in your, you know, fresh out of college days. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, so I must say that this episode is very exciting for me, because you are the first female artist that we've had on the On the Come Up podcast. And, you know, it's refreshing. It's really nice to have feminine energy on the red couch with me. So I do just want to ask, like, if you could give advice to young Black women watching or forging their own path, just based off your story and what you've gone through, what type of advice could you give us? And like, like what could you say to that?
I would say, surround yourself with people who you can trust. I never realized how much in my journey, I kind of talk about the fact that I did have this friend network who became like brothers for me, but I didn't realize at the time how much they protected me. You know, they protected me from weirdness, from energy that was off. You know, it might be like, Prowess, it's time to go. Like, you know, and just the ability to be in a safe space with people who were also safeguarding their own space, right? Like I'm making sure they're safe, they're making sure I'm safe. We're here to do music and go. And like a lot of the times I didn't stay to like do a lot of talking, because I was like, I'm here to do my thing and I'm out. Like I don't have time to do a lot of that other piece, because I was more protective of my space, and so were my brothers at that time. And I think, you know, that is the main thing, is whether it's sisters, brothers, whatever you can have, that surround yourself with those people, and then people who are honest with you, and then being able to say, you know what, trust yourself, trust your gut, trust your instincts. You know, think about, some things are not worth a trade-off. You know, you got to be strong and be who you are. And I try to be authentic to myself. And what you talked about earlier about having that, you know, juxtaposition of things that are happy and sad, and there's joy and there's pain. There's things in my music that I'm like, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to write from that place, because I'm going to be authentic to me. I don't wear the MC uniform. I might not look like the MC, but I'm like, it's in everything that I do. And so I feel like it's embedded in my spirit, and I bring that forth. And I know that women oftentimes, it's harder for us. It's very hard for us because people there's already a stigma there.
Mm-hmm.
There's sometimes unfair comparisons, and I feel like sometimes I was given opportunities because people would say, oh, I'm going to give you this opportunity because you remind me of this artist, or because you spit that real, it's like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody spits real. Like, you're off.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Let people do their artistry the way they want to do their artistry.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it isn't for you doesn't mean they shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a spirit of being able with women that people try to do that to us. They try to, put us in boxes and categorize us. And so don't allow people to label you. Be authentic too. When you wake up in the morning, what do you want to say? What's your innate thought that you want to transfer to other people?
Mm-hmm.
And that there's someone that has your story or similar to your story that you may be connecting with, and you may be changing somebody's life in the way that I talk about Lioness changing my life in a very real way, to be like, okay, I have something as a blueprint to look at, and somebody who I thought was a respectful and this just brilliant queen, that I saw, and I was like, this is a goddess of a woman, like, and she's real. I don't see her on TV. I don't know what Queen Latifah does in her spare time. I don't know, but I can see her, and I see her, how she's interacting with me, how she's interacting with other people, how she holds herself. And so that's what I would say is being true to yourself will lead you so far, and try to minimize outside noise. You know who you are. Nobody else can tell you better than that, And so I'm like, men will get an opportunity to sometimes have the aiming corner a lot more than we do the champ. So you got to be your biggest champion, because you may not have that, that voice around you to be like, you're dope, but you got to know it when you walk into a space. You're dope.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. So what do things look like for you upcoming and in the future? What can we expect from you?
Yeah, so I am working on the song I performed, Bitrate Alchemy, is a single, kind of, you could say, one of the first songs I'm doing from this Sailor Moon themed project that I have been conceiving. I was a Sailor Moon fan, and I kept saying it was recently the 30th anniversary of Sailor Moon, but it was before that even came. I was just like, in my head, I just feel like it's something that a lot of the times as women of color, we don't connect to a lot of things. But I love the fact that the inner Shinji and just the Sailor Guardians, you could find identity, right, and kind of in that anime. And so I really liked that, and I wanted to bring it forth with, like, in my own style. So the idea of being, authentic to myself, I'm like, I do boom bap music. I'm not going to change that to do something else. Like, it's very Sailor Moon in a boom bap context, which for me was, like, important to be like, how can we put some hard 808s and some, put some stuff,
definitely
have fun with this. So I'm working on that. And then I thought, in the middle of that, why not do a double header? I was already working on this Dragon Ball Z project with a producer, So out of Flagstaff, Arizona, and it was interesting. We got introduced to each other, and then he started sending me beats, but he was labeling them Dragon Ball Z references. So he sent me something and it'd be like Grandpa Gohan. He sent me something and it'd be like Bulma. I'm like, he sent me something and it'd say, Ultra Instinct. I'm like, okay. Instant transmission. What are you trying to do? So I was like, he's not even really realizing. But he sent me a song. It was called Wolf Fang Fist. I said, I'm gonna write a song about Yamcha, because I like Yamcha, and I feel like that's something. So I was like, I'm gonna do a Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball kind of universe and Sailor Moon universe, and have those kind of collide, because everybody just nobody can beat Goku, and I'm always like, but Sailor Moon can.
And see, I love that, because the girls need this. Because my best friend Caitlin, she loves anime, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, and so I already know, like, this is a project she's gonna go crazy over. Because, like, having that mesh between, like, powerful womanhood and music, the anime, like, that sounds really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that.
Just to be live in the spirit of the character, and to talk about the stuff outside of, like, I listen to a lot of anime rappers, and a lot of it is like, I beat you up, take your girl. It's like, okay, outside of that, what do these characters do? Like, they have children, they get married, they have lost, they have had grief. There's all these arcs in the character that, like, you don't talk about those things, but it's like, I'm talking about the universe that's kind of shaped, and the Dragon Ball project is more featured on the, like, the relationship. So like Bulma and Vegeta and their relationship, and Bulma feels kind of like, Vegeta, you're spending too much time fighting and focusing on being the Prince of Saiyans, and I'm like this brilliant scientist, and you love me, but I want to have that, love. I want Trunks to feel that love. I want us to really, have this relationship blossom and have our matrimony be, something more than just like you fighting and me being your cheerleader. Like I want to, and so it's what those feelings are. What must she be feeling? What would she be saying to him if she was writing a song to him?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the spirit of that came out of.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So before we finish out, where are places that people could find you? Where could they find you to keep up on social media, on with your streaming, especially after the amazing performance, this interview? I'm sure they want to get to know you way more in what we covered here. So
yes. So they can find me. I'm at My Name is Prowess on all outlets. On all social media. My website is mynameprowess.com, so it's PROWE, 2 S's, very, very, very easy or hard, because people call me the Prowler, the Prowless, the Proudness, they call me everything, but Prowess, right, but it's pretty easy, PROWESS, and if you find me on, I've got Bandcamp, I've got all of the DSP platforms, my music is pretty much everywhere. I've even got a SoundCloud. I mean, YouTube, anywhere that you can put in My Name is Prowess, you will usually find me. I usually tag that with everything. But yeah, follow me and then share. Like, please, I love hearing. One of the greatest things is when people actually come and send music to me and be like, hey, not necessarily let's collaborate, but let me show you something new. Because I'm like, I'm always finding great artists and that that the city has to offer, but that are in the surrounding areas too, or even if you're not. Like I know it's plenty of people who watch this. So.
I love that. Yes, women helping women.
Yes.
Black people helping Black people.
Yes.
We need that. But again, thank you, Prowess, so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
It was an honor. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I so much appreciate you. And that was episode 4 of On the Come Up. Make sure you catch us in the new year with episode 5. And I can't wait to see you soon.